All right, I think we're good to get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today's session. My name is Aaron Wang. I'm a recruitment officer with the Faculty of Applied Science and Engineering here at the University of Toronto. Today's session is a focus on the industrial engineering program here at U of T Engineering. I am joined today by panelist Professor Dion Alaman and Zoria, who is a current student in our industrial engineering program. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. This is a live stream to highlight and showcase the industrial engineering program. Please bear in mind that we won't be taking any admissions questions live on camera, but you are welcome to still submit them if it is an urgent question. Tyler, who is in the background helping us answer some of those questions, will hopefully be able to help you in chat. Of course, you can always contact us via email or tune into our other sessions throughout the months of November and December to help address those questions. Any questions for our panelists about the program, you're welcome to use the Q&A box to submit those questions. I'm seeing students who are already taking advantage of the Q&A box already, so please don't feel shy. Send those questions in. That's why you're here for the session. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my panelists to perhaps introduce themselves a little bit. We'll start with Professor Alleman.
Hi, so I'm Professor Alaman. I'm a professor of industrial engineering. I've been here in the department for 13 years. Um, U of T is a great place to be. I originally did my PhD at the University of Florida, and my areas of research are in operations research. So that's optimization, machine learning, basically quantitative decision making and predictions. And I normally apply these tools to medical and healthcare decision making problems like radiation therapy treatment planning, matching organ donors and recipients, operating room scheduling, and very topical COVID modeling and predictions.
That is very topical indeed.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll go into that a little bit more if time allows. Zaria, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Zaria Khan. I'm a third year industrial engineering student here at U of T. I have recently just finished a minor in engineering business, and I'm now trying to figure out what next minor or certificate I want to pursue, maybe the artificial intelligence certificate. But aside from that, I'm a part of the Industrial Engineering Club, which is basically the undergraduate student council for the industrial engineering program. And I'm also a volunteer user experience designer at a startup originated from U of T called Prefix Care. So I'm super excited to be here today to answer all your questions. Yeah.
Thank you. I have so many questions already from your introductions, but why don't we start with some of the basics? I think just to lay the foundation. What is industrial engineering? Why did you choose industrial engineering? Perhaps we'll start with Professor Alleman about sort of, in your view, what is industrial engineering, especially from the perspective of high school student researching programs.
Yeah, so industrial engineering is really a very broad and flexible field. I mean, it can almost be anything that you want it to be. One of our major professional societies in academia called INFORMS, the Institute for Operations Research and Management Science, they have the tag phrase, the science of better, right? And that's really what industrial engineering is. Like, we're not necessarily like, building cars or widgets or making new types of chemicals or materials like you would be able to easily understand about other types of engineering. But what we do is we make processes better. We help people make decisions better, whether that's doing things like maximizing, let's say, profits, minimizing infections from a pandemic outbreak, helping design interfaces where people can interact with tools and make better, more accurate decisions that are less prone to errors, helping different databases work with each other to present useful information to people to make decisions. That's what industrial engineering is all about. It's basically just more, better, faster.
That is excellent promotion, I think, for the program. I did psychology when I was a student. Now I'm just like, oh, maybe I should have done industrial engineering.
Well, there is actually
Zaria,
Human Factors has a lot of psychology elements in it. Yeah, and in fact, our students do take a course in psychology as well.
Mhm.
that's great to know. Zaria, do you want to maybe talk about sort of perhaps when you were choosing industrial engineering and now within the program, do you feel like you had the accurate understanding of the program when you first joined it?
Yeah, I think for me, I put in industrial engineering as one of my choices because my cousin is actually an industrial engineering graduate from U of T. So he does some cool stuff, makes things efficient. So I just put it in and I got into that program, not really knowing what industrial engineers do. But over the years, I kind of developed an understanding. So to put into words, we make things more efficient, user-friendly, cost-effective. And I soon began to fall in love with one of the specific areas that we have, human factors, and um, how we can design systems and products to be more user-friendly. I love how it can allow me to be creative. So that's why I continue to pursue and stay in the industrial engineering program. Yeah.
Amazing. I'm getting some questions about, I think, the overlap of engineering and business, which is very much part of the industrial engineering education, but also for Zuriya yourself, you actually pursued an engineering business minor. Maybe we'll start there and sort of talk about why you chose to pursue an engineering business minor. What did you feel like it added on to your program?
hmm Yeah, so I loved business from high school. I did a lot of business management courses in high school. And one of our core courses in the industrial engineering curriculum is economics and accounting. So that kind of opened up my liking for the financial area. And so that's why I tried to pursue I pursued the engineering business minor. The accounting course was also one of the required courses for the minor, so that was a bonus. But through the engineering business minor, not only was I able to take like basic business courses like accounting and finance and stuff like that, I was able to learn marketing, and I was also able to take electives in um, engineering leadership, how to work better in business and companies, how to basically manage your team better. So that really added on a lot of value to my degree and to the skills that I've developed. Yeah.
I think some students are asking about sort of research opportunities or sort of interesting labs and facilities. Maybe I'll get Professor Alaman to elaborate a little bit more on your research and operations and what you teach and what you research.
Yeah. So I already mentioned some of the areas that I research. As far as what I teach MIE 250, which is the Fundamentals of Object-Oriented Programming course. It's all about taking your programming to the next level, and we specifically use Java in the course. Although in first year you will have learned Python if you're if you come in as an industrial engineer, or most of the other flavors of engineering, or potentially C if you go ECE and then later transfer into us. And then I also teach MIE 262 Operations Research 1, which is Introduction to Optimization. As for research opportunities, there are many, 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 many. Nearly all of our faculty members do take on undergraduate student researchers, most commonly during the summer. And the best thing to do if you're interested in particular type of research is to approach a professor who's doing that type of research, and you can go on our website and see a whole list of everybody and who does what, and you can even filter by, say, human factors or operations research, information engineering, and look to see who's doing stuff that interests you, and then just reach out to them.
Yeah, to me, it seems like sort of industrial engineering is very much like a jack of all trades. You can apply the knowledge into pretty much any career or field that you wish to go into. There are students asking about specializations within the field and perhaps careers after graduation. Zuriya, do you maybe want to talk about sort of your aspirations of what you would like to do after you graduate and how that has formed within your studies so far?
Yeah, for sure. So as I mentioned, I love human factors. So I'm taking a lot of electives in that area. I'm learning about designing systems, how to do user experience research, and how to do usability testing, all that sort. And a lot of our core courses is also helping me achieve that and build my skills. One of my courses is actually helping me build or learn how to use HTML, CSS, JavaScript to build a website. So that's really cool. And so I'm hoping to use all of these skills and knowledge to go into either front-end development or product management. user experience design. And I know like a lot of my friends who are currently in PY right now, which is our professional engineering year, they are doing product management placements. They're in consulting, business analysis, um, financial engineering. So there's a lot of things that you can do with the not only the core courses that you have, but a lot of the electives that are offered to industrial engineers. And you can also, just like how I pursued a minor, you can also do that to build on your knowledge and your skills, um, to achieve like where you want to go. There's no limitations. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think talking to high school students a lot in my position, we when you look at the careers and then you sort of think about what the program is that leads to that career, industrial engineering perhaps doesn't often come up, I guess, as often as perhaps computer science or business that lead to sort of the careers that you were talking about. Professor Alleman, maybe you could contribute here about sort of why that is. Why is industrial engineering a field that is so applicable to just really any career?
Yeah, so that's actually one of my favorite things about industrial engineering is that with the knowledge of an indie, you can kind of just pick the field that you want to be in because industrial engineering is all about making better decisions, interacting with information better and faster, and that happens literally everywhere, right? Our students, lots of them go on into various business roles, consultants, finance. If you've heard of financial engineering, that's industrial engineering in finance. Um, Healthcare, we have past students who work at hospitals doing process design and efficiency improvements. Ministry of Health. We have students who work for Environment Canada, Stats Canada. You'll find a lot of industrial engineers in the military as well. In fact, a lot of industrial engineering was born out of the need to manage logistics and troop movements efficiently in World War II. So we can really just go almost anywhere that you want with just this base level of information.
I really need to do a second degree. This is amazing. You also mentioned sort of earlier about the cross from industrial engineering into public health, and how you are using sort of this knowledge and the ability to optimize and do organizational research to help with pandemic efforts. Can you perhaps share a little bit more about what you're doing there?
Yeah, so about a decade ago, I started building a kind of new type of simulation model to simulate the spread of pandemic disease, different from like the high level models that are used on the projections that you've probably seen if you watch any of the press conferences for really any of the countries. But I build models that are extremely detailed down to every individual. And that's because, looking at how the current models are, from my engineering mindset, I said they're not detailed enough. They're abstracting away, like super spreader events that we now know are a primary driver of COVID spread. And so over the years, I just, worked and developed this model a little bit. And, H1N1 came along. And so, we were using it with the Ontario Agency for Health Protection and Promotion, which is now much more succinctly called Public Health Ontario. And then, now COVID came along. And so, there's a lot of renewed interest in this type of work. So retooling the model to work with another province that I'm working with and have it tuned for COVID and adding lots of new features and helping public officials kind of understand, well, what if you do this thing? What if you do that thing? Which policy is likely to be more effective? Will it matter at all if you only take this tiny little half measure, or do you need to do like something really big and significant to make an impact?
Um, I have a question here. Actually, I think it comes from because for U of T, the department that undergraduate students sit in is the Department of Mechanical Industrial Engineering. Professor, perhaps you can shed some light on sort of, is it a common foundation between these two programs? Is there a large amount of similarities between them?
No,
Why is it that they're
actually,
in
no.
the
I mean, aside from, we're all engineers, we all have, basic mindset and a way of approaching the world and our understanding of it. Other than that, no, there's not really much of a connection between industrial and mechanical engineering. The reason why we're actually in the same department, and it's two completely separate programs just housed in the same department, is actually more historical. So way back in the 50s, I believe it was, The mechanical engineering program had a lot of students who were really interested in applying their engineering mindsets to business. So they started actually like a little sub program called engineering business, right, where you could get like a minor or a concentration. And eventually that grew and grew into its own industrial engineering program, which eventually broke off and was its own industrial engineering department. But at some point in time in the, I want to say late 80s or early 90s, the university was, looking to save costs and where could things be more efficient. And the industrial engineering department at that time was a bit small. So they said, why don't you just go back to where you came from and back into the mechanical engineering department. So MEC became MIE. And we're all back together. And even though our industrial engineering program is now actually really quite large in terms of faculty and students, relative to a lot of other programs in Canada, and even standing quite favorably compared to some of like the top programs in the US in terms of size and research output. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're all happy. We're all happy together. We all like each other. We get along, and it's fun. For me, being in a department with mechanical engineers and talking with them about their research and hearing like some of the really cool and different stuff that they do. That's very different from industrial engineering, but also being able to say, oh, you're doing that. I think I know a way that we could, try to make that better. We could try to optimize how you're doing this and that, and what materials you choose to test and save time and, experimental design. And so, we have a lot of collaborations that go across our faculty members. So that's pretty fun.
Yeah, what we need more of in this world.
Yeah.
Well, questions, I think that these are good questions as well in terms of comparing the nomenclature that is used for a program like industrial engineering with other universities, perhaps that offer programs like systems engineering or process engineering. I don't know if they're all similar or not. Maybe we'll start with Zuria. When you were researching programs, did you apply to a number of similar programs like industrial engineering here at U of T? What was your experience researching?
To be honest with you, I did not. I think other universities, they do offer like systems design engineering, process engineering, and I think U of T's industrial engineering program is a combination of all of that. That's what I've heard from a lot of upper years who have applied to different programs similar to industrial engineering. But yeah, I mostly applied to computer engineering and computer science programs because I was interested in coding a lot in high school. But I was happy to find that industrial engineering also has a lot of courses where we learn coding. Like I think from first year, like I've done Python, Java, R, which is a statistical analysis coding language. I've done SQL, and now I'm learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So I'm happy that I have found a program that has a lot of the stuff that, or has offered a lot of the stuff that I like, or courses that I like. So yeah.
Professor Alleman, perhaps with your experience in, I guess, in the US and in Canada, how would you see sort of the differences between universities offering similar programs?
I'd say one of the big things that I think is unique about U of T is that we are really well represented in all three branches of industrial engineering. That's operations research, which is the optimization and machine learning side, human factors, and information engineering. Usually most departments will be largely operations research and not really have much of anything else, or maybe just a little bit of like a token course here or there. But here we're actually strong across the board, which allows students to, actually choose to really focus on one of these areas if that's something that they're interested in.
That's good to know. A question I think I saw just earlier about sort of on things that complement an industrial engineering degree, it itself being quite like we talked about, a degree that really touches all fields already. Zuria, you talked about adding your engineering business minor. You talked about your interest in pursuing perhaps an additional certificate or minor to add on to that with your passions in UX and sort of computer science areas. In your opinion, sort of what are some things that are common for students to add on to complement their degree, or what would be something that you might suggest for a student in industrial engineering? Zuria?
Yeah. So yeah, I did add on the engineering business minor because I had that interest in business, and also I feel like Some of the courses that I do take do add on to some of the knowledge that we learn from the engineering business courses. Um, and I'm looking towards probably adding on a AI certificate because I have that interest in technology and the way that the world is improving now. AI and machine learning is really common in industry. So I'm hoping that that can add on to the value of my degree. But we do have students going into many different or taking many different minors and certificates, regardless of whether it's something that you want to complement your industrial engineering degree. So I have a team member from my industrial engineering student council. One of my team members is taking a minor in music because she enjoys music. So you can take whichever minor or certificate you want, whether it is because you enjoy that area or whether you want it to complement your degree and help you build the skills that you need.
Any suggestions from you, Professor, on things that students could sort of add on to their core academic curriculum that might help them be a more well-rounded student, perhaps for research or even for their career post-graduation?
Yeah, being involved in research can really give you a new perspective about how you actually take the information that you learn in your courses and apply it to the real world, where the real world is messy, not like the nicely contained and defined problems that you'll find in your textbook or, on exams. How do you address that sort of situation? Being comfortable operating with the fact that there's no solution manual telling you what the answer is. So that can always be really helpful. And as well, getting involved with all sorts of extracurriculars, right? Will always give you new perspectives, help you with meeting new people and networking and understanding how other different people think and just broadening your horizons, is always really, really very important. Something that a lot of people don't think that engineers need to do, but the world is increasingly connected today, and so are different people in different companies. Like the days where there's some engineer that sits in like a dark corner just coding away or like looking at numbers and never talks to anyone, like that doesn't really exist all that much anymore. You have to be able to talk with people, to understand them, and to show leadership and be a good team member. And the more you practice and do all of that, the better you'll be at it. And you'll also have those nice little things that you can put in your resume that will show to potential employers that you do have experience doing this. And, maybe you got elected to be president of, some extracurricular club or something like that. And that can really help boost people's opinions of you before they have a chance to actually get to know you.
Do you have a favorite club that you know of for the for the students, Professor?
Me?
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, there's the Indie Club. The student chapter of industrial and systems engineers is always obviously good. We also have UTORG is University of Toronto Operations Research Group. It's mostly grad students, but it's open to anybody. And there are members from all over the university. I also have always liked, cars. So I was like Formula SAE, right? That's something that I was involved in when I was a student. Just anything that interests you, just go check it out and, see if you just find something interesting that you like to do.
Surya, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna add on, like, don't be shy when you're like signing up for clubs because you may think that, oh, I won't be able to add anything onto this because I don't have the necessary experience or knowledge. But that's not true. Like clubs are always looking and working with first year students because you don't have to have the knowledge. You can learn from that experience, and the upper years are there to help you out. So take that opportunity and use it wisely, and it can help you. You can put it on your resume. Like these are really good experiences that you can talk about, projects that you can talk about that will help you when you're applying for jobs in the industry.
Any favorite clubs, favorite design teams, favorite experiences that you recommend?
The Industrial Engineering Club. Please join.
Okay.
You can join from
Loyal to a fault.
yeah, you can join from first year as a representative for your class, and moving on to upper years, you can apply for more executive roles. Like I'm now a communications director. I make posters and promote our events. You can do that. You can apply to be our chair or vice chair. Um, and I think another design team that I was a part of was the University of Toronto's Hyperloop team. Um, that's a fairly new club. It started, I believe, last year. Um, so while I was there, I was the marketing director. I was only there for a while, but now they've grown to over, I think, 100 members, and they're all now doing really cool stuff. They're working towards making an actual Hyperloop and testing it out somewhere in Toronto, yeah, or Canada.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're chasing the aerospace team in terms of popularity, I feel like now.
Yeah, yeah.
I think, well, I mean, we have a couple of minutes left. So if anyone has any questions, you're welcome to submit them in the Q&A box again. But Surya, you mentioned earlier that you're an entrepreneur. Is that correct? That you're starting? No,
No,
I mean,
no.
I heard incorrectly.
No,
I thought you were
sorry.
like starting your own company or
Oh,
something.
I am a part of a startup. I did not start it, but I'm a volunteer user experience designer at a startup that originated from U of T's hatchery.
Oh, very cool. How's that experience going?
It's really cool. We were working more like daily during the summer. We're all students, so right now it's a bit hard to coordinate times to work on it daily, but it's a really good experience that I can add on to my resume and can also help me build my UX skills. So that's been really good. A lot of us are students at U of T, some in the computer science side, two of us are industrial engineers. So it's been a really good experience that I've been able to find some good people who have taken me on for this project. Yeah.
Lovely. I think we're right on time. Let me just see if there's any more questions here that we can quickly include. Maybe last question. I don't know, coolest project? Was your ESB project really fun? Did you have any projects
Oh,
afterwards?
yeah, I can talk about two projects. So in first year, you take this course called Engineering Strategies and Practice, where you're given a client and a client statement basically stating what it is that the client is facing, like what kind of problem they're facing. And I remember like our client who was a real person, by the way, wanted us to optimize an existing wind farm collection system. And so my team consisted of first year students from different disciplines like chemical engineering, electrical engineering, civil engineering. And it was great to see how we all brought our different backgrounds and different knowledge together to come up with a solution for our client. I was not expecting to be working on such a great and big assignment from like the get-go. I thought that you would only do things like this once you start working, but it was great that we could have this experience from the beginning of our educational journey. Another project that I'm working on right now for one of my classes, I talked about it briefly earlier, but um, my team and I were making a website to help groups schedule meetings more efficiently. So this time we have taken the initiative, like we take the initiative to assign ourselves the tasks that we need to do, such as research or prototyping, to ultimately code this website. There are deliverables like progress reports, but for a lot of the work, we are given the task to decide when we want to do it or how we want to execute them. So there's a lot of initiative that you can take. And it's super exciting to take on this project as a team. We're learning so much with the help of our staff and the teaching staff and the resources that they've provided. So it's been a really good journey. Yeah.
Do you feel like you're obligated to not procrastinate because you're an industrial engineer?
We're just better
Manage
at
yourself.
procrastinating.
I
Because we know we're so
manage our
efficient, we
time.
can go right down to the wire.
All right, last word to you, Professor Edelman. Perhaps any parting words to our amazing students who are looking to apply to UT Engineering, looking to apply to industrial engineering. Any advice, any recommendations?
Yeah, so I mean, U of T is obviously a great place, but so are lots of other schools, and really you should go wherever makes you happy. All right. And that goes for not just the university you pick, but also the degree program that you pick. Because if you're not happy, you're going to be slogging through, 4 years or 4 years plus PEY, professional experience here. That's our year-long co-op. You don't want to do that. Just make sure you pick something that makes you happy. There are a lot of great things about industrial engineering, like, you get to interact with people a lot. You have a lot of flexibility with where your career ends up. But if that's not, what you're looking for, no big deal, pick the place that's going to make you happy.
All right, I want to thank my panelists, Professor Alaman and Zuria, who's one of our current students. And thank you everyone for taking the time to attend today's session. I loved it, so hopefully you did too. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.